Hey, here we go. Welcome to late night.
Okay, yeah, welcome to the late night chat. And and
Do we see this, the email?
yeah, you can
Okay.
see it. So
Marta, you choose.
Marta, you have we lost Marta?
Hmm.
Hey, well, let's start. How about Deborah
Yeah, I was saying.
Can
while
you
we're waiting?
can you hear me?
Yep. Yes.
The topic of self-realization versus self-effacement. Dear folks of Baba, the way of my work is the way of effacement, which is the way of strength, not of weakness, and through it you become mature in my love. Meher Baba. In the coming chapter, Darwin Shaw writes about the path of self-effacement encouraged by Baba. It was a new concept for most of us, and the term is rarely used, even in spiritual circles. Simply put, it involves vacating our interior, so to speak, and letting Baba move in. His mandali would use the phrase, when he takes over. This transformation does not occur instantly, but gradually over our lifetime as we surrender our interior to him. In my view, Baba affirms two major spiritual approaches, that of self-realization and that of self-effacement. On the path of self-realization, we seek to realize our spiritual potential, going up through the planes of consciousness, gross, subtle, and mental, to realize our own divinity. Many of the saints are on this path. On the path of self-effacement, which Baba guided most of his Mandali and close ones on, and which he encourages for most of his lovers to follow, is about vacating our interior and allowing Baba to live our life with us as the witness. In the Bible are the words, not I, but Christ liveth in me. Unlike the path of self-realization, self-effacement means giving up even our spiritual experiences, which can be so compelling. Rick Chapman, in his meeting with Baba at Meherazad in 1966, was told by him, in fact, pay no attention whatsoever to the spiritual path, the planes of consciousness, or to any spiritual experiences. They are all nothing but toys for children because they are nothing but illusion. In this approach, Baba is implying to even renounce our spiritual experiences in favor of self-effacement. I think there are very few spiritual teachers who would recommend this. In the mid-1970s, Erich conveyed to me that the whole spiritual path that is within us is really the higher side of our lower self, which many aspirants are unknowingly trying to realize. Such spiritual experiences are still in the dual realm. In truth, love is the higher self, which is ever present in everything, in what is unspiritual as well as what is spiritual. It is a matter of realizing love heart to heart with Baba and each other, not chasing after spiritual experiences. The one love that surrounds us and is ever present only needs to be cleansed of its impurities and its sanskaric veils removed. In clarifying the two approaches, Baba gave the metaphor, as Irwin Luck once shared with me, of two methods of taking down a large tree. Paraphrasing what Irwin said, in the first method, we go to the top of the tree and cut it down, say 10 feet of the topmost branches, and then we come down another 10 feet, and then another and another until we reach the base of the tree. This is like going through the inner path of consciousness, plane by plane, until divinity is reached. In the second method, continuing the metaphor, Baba introduces termites into the bark of the tree, and gradually the tree is hollowed out, so that to all intents and purposes, the tree appears to be thriving at the gross level. We remain at the level of the world where we can express Baba's personal love to those around us. Baba becomes the indweller, and we become vehicles of his love in the world, rather than regarding ourself as the base of operations. The remembrance of Baba in any way, shape, or form acts like an invasion of termites that eventually destroys the tree. As has been said, Baba affirms both paths. The path of self-effacement allows us to empathize with others in the gross world. We are spared the infinite vastness and complications of the overwhelming experiences of the higher planes. However, we are nevertheless exposed to the experiences of the ups and downs of life in the gross world. Baba has said, I will teach you how to move in the world, yet be at all times in inward communion with me as the infinite being. On the path of self-realization, the bliss of the higher planes makes it difficult for the advanced aspirant to truly empathize with others in the gross world. There is sympathy and the sharing of the higher expression of love, but empathizing with others as they experience themselves at the gross level is not really possible. Among the myriad methods leading towards self-effacement, adopting the provisional ego is essential, in which we imagine Baba as living our day and doing everything through us. What starts as a mental exercise eventually becomes our actual experience, the gradual transition from micromanaging our lives to letting Baba take over. And of course, focusing on Baba in all the ways that we can is paramount, making him our constant companion, which over time gradually effaces our ego in him. Where are you drawn to in your inner life? Are you inclined toward self-realization or self-effacement? Are you content with keeping your focus on loving here in the gross world, or do you long for the expansiveness of the spiritual realms? I believe that as spiritual aspirants, our concentration should be on loving God and merging with him, and the predominant process we are engaged in is not self-realization, but complete self-effacement, which is both total annihilation and complete merging of the personality self into God. Darwin Shaw. In his love, Jeff.
Well, does that make any sense? Any kind of questions about that? Anything?
I thought one of the things that was interesting was the concept of the termites in hollowing out the tree
Mm-hmm.
because at Marymount it's a big thing with Baba's tree, which is hollowed out now because of the fire, but the outside looks like it's flourishing. I don't know. I
Yeah.
haven't had enough time to unpack this one, but it just struck me as a similar, like something written so long ago, and now it's true today.
Yeah. I mean, can you folks relate to that? Oh, Marta, did you get your sound working there?
Oh, is that Candy raising her hand? I didn't
Yeah.
see Candy raise her hand. Yeah,
Yeah.
Candy.
She's always reaching for candy.
Which path do we like? Well, we like the spiritual experiences, don't we? But they're
Speak for
no-nos.
yourself. Speak for yourself.
Okay, all right. I will. So, yeah, I went through a time where I was having spiritual experiences. And I saw that one thing I saw very clearly was that, well, we wouldn't be able to function in the world if this was the case. It would be impossible.
Mm.
And still, I was very excited about it. And I just happened to go to India right around that time again. This was I think this was late 70s or early 80s. And I was so excited about the experiences that I had. I was telling Erich, I was telling him, I was telling him like a kid who had just been to Disneyland, you know, like, yeah. And then blah, 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 and this and that. And Erich was very stern with me. And he told me basically that they were nothing into nothing, and that not only that, I should shut up about them too. And that was that. So,
Good. Yeah. There you got direct feedback.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like I was brought there too. I felt because I felt like Baba picked me up by the scruff of the neck and brought me to India because again, my ex-husband appeared in my living room saying, "I have money for you to go to India." So he just sent me right around exactly at that time. So I felt like that Baba did that on purpose. Uh, so, yeah.
Yeah, the perfect timing.
Mhm.
Hey,
I mean,
Ron?
and you
Oh,
kind of
sorry.
accepted it?
Yes, yeah, that's a good question. Of course, I accepted it, but I do have to say one funny thing that the first experience that I had came upon me, without any wanting, it just came unasked. And it was while I was having a glass of wine and smoking a cigarette. And I always thought that was really funny.
And you continued that habit up to the present.
No, actually, no.
Yep.
Sort of. No, not really.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought that
Yeah.
was a humorous aspect of it. But yeah, so no, so do I. Yeah, I. It's hard to reconcile. It's one of those things where you know it's good for you. What Baba said, you know that you. I don't really much like the termite analogy, by the way, but yeah, termites. but you know it's where you know what's good for you. You know that he's right, that Baba is right,
Yeah.
and so you say and you go along with it. But you kind of, I mean, you have to say that a spiritual experience or two is nice.
Yeah.
You can't
A
deny
little
that
bit
you
better
don't like
than the
it.
ordinary
But yeah,
experiences.
yeah.
Yeah.
Every day you wake up, you know, the same old, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm reconciled to it because I understand how much better it is for us because indeed we would not function at
Yeah.
all otherwise.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, Ron.
Yeah, back in the early 70s, I read this book that Rick Chapman had written and published called How to Choose a Guru. I think he's changed the title now. But in that book, one of the things that he raised was these two different ways
mhm,
of the two different paths. And it was very similar to what Erwin suggested about the tree. But instead of it being a tree, the ego mind was a building which
mhm,
you would dwell in. You dwelled in your ego mind, and so he had the yogic approach, which was basically to take this building and kind of demolish it, like from the top down, similar to the tree analogy. Uh, but the thing about that was you really couldn't function well in the gross world. So a lot of these yogis were like outside of society, or if not, a must outside of the gross experience. Uh, So it was that type of a situation where you couldn't really live a normal life. Whereas the other one, in the other approach, one lived basically a natural, normal life inside the building, but at the same time, you were inviting Baba to come in and set these various explosive charges here and there, so that at a certain point, when he was ready and he thought you were ready, then he would take you out of the building, and then the building would just collapse all in one moment. But in the meantime, you could be living in it. I like that one.
Good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's an
Mhm.
alternative.
Yeah.
Virginia.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this a lot this last week, Jeff, since you shared this when I was at the center. And, I was thinking the path of self-realization, I mean, it's really compelling. And, like Candy was saying, having those spiritual experiences, it kind of keeps you going and gives you motivation to want to follow whatever path it is that one is on. But I think that path can have a lot of pitfalls too. I know Baba described a lot of those when he talks about the journey through the plains. And I think about folks I know who've been on a spiritual journey, and there are so many places where ego can grab you because you think that you are superior to whoever because you are having this experience or this sense of joy or this sense of bliss. And it seems to me like the path of self-effacement, there don't seem to be the same pitfalls. I can't imagine there being a hang up when I'm inviting Baba in. If I'm truly asking Baba to live as me and stepping out of the way and, letting Baba live through me, I can't see how that could, result in kind of more sanskaras or more hang-ups. And another thing that I've been kind of working on this week is I was having a real experience of joy and bliss and connection when I was at the center and giving thanks to Baba for that. And I heard him say, what if you could give the exact same amount of thanks for every emotion that you experience as you are for this joy right now? And that's been really echoing this last week. And it's hard to do, like when I'm feeling anxious or when I'm feeling angry or if I'm feeling jealous or if I'm kind of dreading my day, it's hard to give thanks for that so fully that I can see Baba in that as much as I do in the joy. But it seems like that kind of practice really is the key in just hollowing ourselves out. So yeah, I really appreciate what you wrote, Jeff.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah.
Sabine.
Yeah, this was such a helpful text for me. Over the years, whenever I looked at the path of the plains, it never sort of resonated with me. I always felt like that couldn't be my way. But then, I also couldn't do much with the path of self-effacement. I thought, I don't know, how would I do that? Would I be able to do that, to sort of step aside? But this description of the termites just brought it home to me what needed to be happening. So, I had sort of light bulbs going off yesterday. It was really, really good for me. Sort of, and also to know that I can be in the gross world and I can still work towards self-effacement, and then, your last question was like, are we on the path of self-realization? And I thought, gosh, I must have lost interest in that years ago, but I hadn't realized it. I just realized yesterday, like, that is no goal at all for me. It's like, because when I started on the spiritual path, that was the aim, sort of to become self-realized. And yesterday I just realized, oh gosh, I lost that somewhere on the path. No concern of mine anymore. I don't know. It was not that I consciously put it away, let it go. It was just gone, I realized. So yeah, interesting.
Beautifully said. Hey, in response to what Virginia just shared, this is a poem by Rumi called The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still greet each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Mhm.
I don't know if that.
Yeah.
I thought of that poem as what Virginia was saying. Yeah, the termites. I mean, saying Baba's name is like Pac-Man. It's just eating up your interior, your impressions. Okay.
Rich.
Well, I've never liked the terms self-effacement, but it's, I guess, you have to sort of label things to grasp a concept and understanding, but meaning the same thing. For me, what it seems to be is since Baba is in every person I meet, one way or another, then if I am trying to remember Baba or be with Baba, being in the world is most functional that way. For me, it is. I can't do it. I'm not very good at it, but it is still the most functional experience I've had of remembering Baba, trying to remember Baba in others that I'm interacting with. And so you can call it self-effacement. You know, the little self is dwindling, but I think of it more as almost like merging in with Baba. Um, and there's another little I'm curious as to how many people feel this or think this, but there's another benefit that for me is very tangible. And Baba gives me cues, not clues, but cues. Like, you know, like once in a while I go off the rails and then I feel so uncomfortable about it. And I'm sure that what it is I have cross my wires with Baba in someone or with someone. Normally, that's what it really is. Those bother me the worst. But otherwise, I have to refer to Baba, what to do now or how to, it's my heart. My heart must be involved. And so Baba seems to communicate with me. I don't know how else to put it. And that is a real complete gift that goes way beyond, spiritual
Mhm.
experience. Jay Baba.
Yeah, beautiful. Any anything? Oh,
Yeah, I have something else to say.
yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Candy.
Yeah. Um, for two things. One, I love what Sabine said because I found that to be true too. I find it amazing that right when I first came to Baba, I thought God realization was right around the corner. And me and my Baba lover friends, we would talk about it all day long. We would talk about Baba and God realization and the path and the planes and all these stuff. And just like Sabine said, gradually it went away. I never think about it anymore. It's just like I don't even care anymore. And I think that's a good thing. It's just let's get down to get down to brass tacks and do what needs to be done and love God. That's all. And that's all that's important, really. And that's what Bob has said. So I think that's very, very interesting. The other thing is that besides in relation to, in a way, what Rich said, besides from spirit, okay, so you don't get spiritual experiences, let's say, but you do get little messages from Baba all the time. And little things that happen, amazing things that happen that become Baba's stories. that you can tell others. Those things happen. So you know that Baba is always with you. And that's, that's just as good as having a spiritual experience, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't have to be transcendent experiences. They can be just, some communication from Baba on a very mundane thing, but it's so, you're so grateful
Yes.
that, yeah.
Yes.
Now let's go to Marta.
Well, I have two things I want to say before I read this. I too came across this little poem by Rumi, but I want to say, Bob, your background is absolutely beautiful. The
Yeah.
background on your screen, and then that little red heart in the corner. Bob was in the background at that older age. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, that is.
And Josh, good to see Josh.
Ooh, look at that.
Wow, 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 wow.
Hey, let's go over to
How
Bob's
did
place.
you do that, Bob? That's incredible.
I found this picture
look at
just a few days ago. I think it's on one of those in the site in India has this thing now with all of these pictures and you can download them.
Oh, yes.
And
Yes.
and
Oh.
I'm pretty sure I found this picture on that somewhere and downloaded because I just loved it. I thought, oh, I gotta keep
Oh,
that.
that's
So
gorgeous.
What
Yeah.
site is that? What site is that you said you can download all the pictures from?
it's on the it's on
Trust?
the Indian the what is it called?
I don't know what.
It's on
The Trust website?
yeah, it's on the Trust website.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
Under what?
wasn't coming into my head. Yeah, it's on there, and they have they have all of these pictures on a kind of a separate place, and I think it's accessible through the Trust. I've got a I saved the link. It's a really old one, but I think that's what it's attached to is somehow at the Trust website. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Can you put the link in the chat?
I will, yeah, I'll see if I can find it. I'll do that. Okay.
Also, I just wanted to say hi to Josh because it's nice to see him. So I have this poem where Baba says he's right here with us doing this. It says from Rumi, I will teach you. Baba says, through Rumi, I will teach you how to move in the world. Yet, be at all times inwardly in communion with me as the infinite being. I will teach you how to move in the world, yet be at all times in inward communion with me as the infinite being. So there he is, right with us.
Yeah. That was, I think Baba gave that in the 30s, and it meant so much to Darwin, that.
Oh, that wasn't a Rumi poem. Oh.
No, that's actually Baba. And,
no, you're right. It wasn't a Rumi poem. Yes,
yeah.
You're right.
And that came as just, I mean, he embraced that. It was so wonderful. Yeah.
Mm.
I should say, I remember my first two meetings at Darwin's in Jeans. This is back in around 1970. I went into such a state of bliss that I never wanted it to end. Unbelievable. And the next day, I had to go to this. I worked as a nurse's aide in a nursing home, and I just crash landed off of that, bliss. Oh, it was horrendous. And the thing is, when I was in that bliss, I couldn't empathize with anybody. You could tell me that your mother had just died, and I could beam some nice love with you, but I couldn't get where I couldn't get to where what you were experiencing, and that I didn't like. So I vowed the 2 weekends of bliss, and I decided I'm never going up there again. Really, I'm not going up. Simple everyday happiness is fine. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to, I don't know exactly where we left off, but I think it was page 62 or 64, something like that.
On
I
the
mean, there are
book,
two different versions
in the
of the
book,
book.
it's 64.
Can you tell me the name of the
Is it
Patience
patience and longing?
Mhm.
Yeah, is that it? Patience and longing,
Mhm.
Diane.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, in Virginia, if you have a poem at the end, it would be nice.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you look through your magnum opus, yeah.
Patty, do you feel like reading?
Are you talking to me?
Patty, yeah?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy
Oh,
to.
good. Thank you.
Sure. Patience and longing. In the discourses, Mayor Baba gives the example of intense longing plus perfect patience. Baba says that after we discover the falsity of the creation, we must have such intense longing for the truth that it overcomes and burns up all the baser,
Baser.
baser, baser desires and inclinations. But at the same time, we have to have infinite patience. Our intense longing is to see God, to long for the presence of the beloved. But on the other hand, we must have complete detachment and be so patient that we could quietly stand back and wait for a million years. Oh, God.
Mhm.
It is hard to imagine having both of these elements in our consciousness at the same time. But that is what Baba is saying. Combining these opposites creates a positive and negative dynamic in the consciousness, which engenders the emergence of energy. This changes our voltage, raising our consciousness out of the inertia of the gross level to the subtle realms, which is the realm of energy. It is as if we have a helicopter within us, but we must first start the motor. We already have within us the means to rise out of the growth consciousness, but we need to dare to ignite the engine. Combining the opposites activates the ignition. By putting positive and negatives together, energy is created and we rise. It is a natural growth, but something that can be artificially imposed upon anyone. But a tremendous amount of grace is involved. Mayor Baba says, it is only when there is a balance between infinite longing and infinite patience that the aspirant can ever hope to pierce through the veil of the limited mind. And this combination of extremes can only come through the grace of the perfect master.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
At the higher level, we are willing to relinquish our lives and, quote, be born again at the level of spirit. That is, born into our subtle and mental spiritual bodies. We discover the fact that we are not the gross body, but that we are spirit. And as spirit, we are already infinite. As this happens, the heart and spirit become free, and we begin to see light and experience expansion of consciousness, and know that we are timeless, that we are immortal. As all of this unfolds within, we begin to share in the consciousness of the beloved and realize that we are part of his being. Che Baba. Oof.
Wow.
Yeah, really, that's a load.
Mhm.
That's
Wow.
This seems so impossible.
yeah,
Yeah,
that seems
that-
like
yeah, wow.
a tall order.
Have we read this before? I can't even remember reading it. And I
Probably a
know
few
we have
times.
read this book so much, but obviously I wasn't there, right?
Yeah.
Not ready, not ready. Whew. Jay Baba. Wow.
Hey, Baba.
That doesn't really sound like the path of effacement, that what that one's
Yeah.
getting.
I
No.
think Darwin he's revealing a little bit like he kind of started drinking the wine there and kind of got off.
Yeah, I think his ignition was a direct
I do
result
feel
of
that
Bob.
Darwin did say this though, that some of our inspiration comes from the higher levels, even though it comes through us here in the gross plane. So we'll get some great inspiration or great determination. It has its origin in the higher planes, and it's coming through us here in our everyday gross level. So we're it's not like the kind of demarcation that we would think, and
I
I
think the
mean,
word
I
for
know.
that,
What's that?
I think the word for that, Jeff, might be benediction, in the higher sense, a benediction.
Benediction. Yeah, maybe. I know Baba said about Francis Brabazon's book, Francis Brabazon's book, Stay with God. Here, Francis has written a sixth plane book, and he's only on the gross plane. So the inspiration is coming from a higher realm, and then he's taking dictation down here. Anything to say about that? Besides that, it seems a little bit out of reach.
Grace, grace. We have to
Grace.
get his grace.
Yeah.
Always trying to win his grace.
Josh,
Yeah.
did you want to say something?
Oh, I was just saying that
You're
I
putting
think
stuff in the chat. You might want to say it.
yeah, like I think that though the fifth plane saints and the sixth plane saints, who have domain over thoughts and feelings, I think that we're connected, and so you sometimes get a thought, but I think it's actually them like sending it through you. I think I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but I know that I think our thoughts and feelings are actually not as private as they appear. And
And they're not as original as we might think.
yes, yeah,
We're tapping into a whole mental world and a subtle world. Um,
yeah.
well, shall we go on to the next?
Oh,
Who's
yeah, who
do
wants
we
to
have
read?
to read next?
I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm just spacing out. Did Virginia already read?
How about Josh?
What about Josh
Oh, Virginia. Oh, yeah, Josh
Walterding?
should be great. Josh should be good. Thank you, Diane.
Well, I'm happy to read. So this is chapter 12, maintaining our spiritual flow. Just cut me off when I'm meant to stop.
Yeah, go all the
You
way
make the
through that
Okay,
first little part and then go on to maintaining momentum.
okay. You make the effort, and I will give you the victory. It is a divine struggle with purpose behind it.
Hmm.
That's Maya Baba. Okay. Removing veils and moving to higher levels of consciousness is the spiritual path, and it is a slow process requiring sharp attention. Meher Baba likens it to walking on the sharp edge of a sword. It is a natural tendency for us to settle into a state of inertia, but when we do, we get crystallized in that state. As spiritual aspirants, we must climb out of that state and keep up the momentum of our inner working and spiritual longing. Maintaining momentum. Meher Baba is continuously working with each individual and our sanskaras to liberate us from our falseness within, to liberate our consciousness, to awaken us for good. For us, this means inner work and inner discipline and paying attention to everything. There must be no slack moments where we can fall off the edge of the sword. Baba would keep us on our spiritual toes to keep our momentum going with him by making promises to break his silence, assigning fasts, or telling us he was coming to visit.
Hmm.
This would increase our enthusiasm, raise our vibrations, and create spiritual longing, which would produce a higher voltage within us. Sometimes he would even say things like, I'm going to die in a few months. Baba was trying to deepen our feelings and bring us closer, trying to make us one-pointed in our focus on him. He did not mind that those things would not happen. He had achieved his purpose, which was to keep us awake, so that we would not fall back into the dream of illusion. Baba says that when the river flows at a strong pace, it carries silt. In other words, when we keep up a positive momentum, our sanskaras are held in abeyance. When the momentum slackens, our sanskaras attack us. When our spiritual momentum is at low ebb, our sanskaras become obstructions and we are at risk for spiritual viruses.
Oh.
But if we have steady spiritual momentum, then when our sanskaras assert themselves, we can more easily counteract them without putting them into action. We must dare to live at a higher level of consciousness and maintain the momentum of working on ourselves in order to experience those higher levels. We must work at inner levels to diminish egoism and at the same time be aware of light, aware of God working with us. As in chess, we learn which piece counteracts a blocking piece. We can even use the desire nature to get inspired. The desire for happiness can be enough to get things moving. Even being fed up with feeling negative or stuck can give us the momentum we need to get underway, to get moving inwardly. Like driving a car, we must keep our foot pushing on the pedal to keep our spiritual energy going and dare to shift out of first gear and into second gear, and then go on to the higher gears. At first, we tend to fall back and lose the experience. Eventually, we learn antidotes to everything that besieges us and pulls us back to lower levels of consciousness. Even after we see through the sanskaric veils, there is a period where the sanskaras still clamor due to the momentum of habit. We are changing our habitual paradigm. This requires continuous renewing of our thoughts and feelings, continuous assertions of the truth, deep renunciation, and lightness of spirit at the heart level.
Beautiful. Well read. Anything to say about that?
I want Josh to narrate all of Effort and Grace for me.
Yeah, I know. He wasn't just reading, but he was comprehending it right along with it. It's a difference. Beautifully done. But anything to say about that?
Actually, Josh has something to say.
I don't, is your hands up? Do you want to say something, Josh?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, all good. It reminds me of when he was saying you have to use the mind to motivate the mind. And I think Baba says that as well in the meditations section on discourses. But it's so weird. We have to use our desires to, bring to a more sort of bigger self, capital S way. But yeah, so I've got to use, it's interesting. I can't just go straight from first gear to seventh gear. I've got to slowly go up through second gear and third gear or whatever. And then, yeah, it's using the inward makeup of my own mind. Like, I'm not going to be able to motivate myself to be doing big things, but then I use small things and I just slowly build those habits. That's what I was taking as one chunk out of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like sometimes idealism is like is the fifth gear, and you can't just go from where you are to the fifth gear. You gotta work up toward patience, work up toward desireless, work up all very gradually. Hey, here's
Yes, Bob.
Yeah, it really struck me that that in that last paragraph, Darwin mentions deep renunciation as one of the tools necessary for that gear changing. The reviewing of thoughts and feelings, and the continuous assertion of the truth, deep renunciation. So, not giving countenance to these things or letting them take over, but actually um, engaging in renunciation for some of this.
yeah. But are you gonna renounce that garden behind you, or are you just gonna?
No, if I could be there, boy, I'd be there in a moment.
That's lovely.
Yes, Ron.
Yeah, I'm reminded of a story I heard when I was in India and was at Mahabaleshwar, and there was the place where Baba was. You see the picture of him standing against a railing, and in the background is the sky and everything. You know, it was called Arthur's Seat.
Yeah.
And apparently, the anecdote of what Baba said when he was at Arthur's Seat, at least one time, I'm not sure if he was there more than once, but he was saying that originating from this particular high point were 5 rivers that started flowing from there. And he gave examples of 2 of the rivers. One of the rivers was a long river that just went all through India. I mean, it was like thousands of miles of river, and sometimes it was quite wide spaces, and people worshipped in it, at it, and did all kinds of things in it. And it was a renowned river. It was famous. But then there was another river that was just a river that went right from that spot right to Bombay. It went straight, and it was very small, but it was rushing along. It had that momentum because it was straight. It didn't curve around like that other river did. So you couldn't really hardly do anything in it because it was kind of a mess. The reason was that because it was rushing along so fast, it was the turbulence were pulling things that people had thrown in to this river because they didn't really think it was worth anything. They couldn't do anything in it, so they just threw their refuse in it, and it would settle on the bottom. But it didn't settle for long because of the turbulent water. It brought them to the top, and Baba said that this is like the Avataric path river. And he said, when you come with the avatar, you go straight to the goal. No, you don't have to waste any time. Just catch a hold of that turbulent and have the momentum, and you will get there quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I don't remember that story. That's great.
Yeah.
Hi, yeah, thank you. It's just interesting hearing Ron's story there because it reminded me of before I found out about Baba, I had a reading from a tarot reader who had deeper, more than just tarot. But he saw in me that I was going to go straight to the highest source rather than get distracted on all the planes, all the spiritual experiences and so on. And I had no idea about what that might be. And then I found out about Baba, and I tried to contact him and say, "Hey, it's Mayor Baba, come." But I could never contact him again. But I was just interested in that thing of keeping up the momentum and how Baba did that with his lovers at that time. But for us, we have to keep finding that ourselves, don't we? And it's things like our Baba Zoom meetings and so many different things we have to sort of reach out and grab hold of, to just help us help ourselves keep up that momentum. And how it's good to have a lot of different ways of doing that. A lot of resources. It's in reading or singing or writing poems or joining meetings or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we help each other as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And the last.
Rich?
Oh.
Well, I my problem is with what Darwin says right in there is when evidently the river slows down and I fall down and start bumping along the rocks down there. And I don't know what to do sometimes. It's like, Baba, it's like, and so the turbidity of the river becomes my sanskaric patterns. And I don't know what to do. I get kind of just slowed down, just the slack. And it's really a tough time for me because I know it's not, I just feel like I'm supposed to be more aware, of Baba. That's the problem. I know that's really real for me. I experience it almost every day, one time or another. J Bob.
Yeah.
Stephen.
I, um, the Hudson River flows in a different direction on the top than on the bottom, which seems like a potent metaphor. Did you ever have the feeling, seems like humanity is moving forward, but it seems like it's getting a lot worse, or something like that? I think it's just a kind of mononash metaphor for you don't know what's happening, because the Hudson River is such a beautiful symbol of that. It could be totally on different on the top than on the bottom.
Yeah, you could think you're going nowhere, but inwardly you're moving toward the ocean. Yeah. So
That reminds me of Seclusion Hill, where just when it looks like it's going to go on forever, it's over.
You mean climbing it?
Yeah, Erich said that Baba said that there's a point of he called one point on Seclusion Hill the point of divine desperation, where I think that he talks about in the discourses, where at one moment it looks like um, you're never going to get anywhere, and then all of a sudden you're there.
you're backtracking the the
Yeah,
the um the
Switchbacks.
switchbacks, the
yeah,
switchbacks. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and then you
yeah. Right. There's some sort of shortcut all of a sudden that hits you when you're on Seclusion Hill, when you're walking up Seclusion
yeah.
Hill.
Want to check the time, Jeff?
It's about
You okay?
5 minutes. 5 minutes. Let's go on to the next section. And
Christina, you want to read?
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
Let me. Something is happening, but you don't know what it is, do you, Mr. Jones? No, just kidding.
Stephen, you're giving away your age.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, great concentration is needed to let go of our paradigm. That's a little like the quote, well, I won't say anything. To drop our habitual ego definitions and pierce our sanskaric veils. In letting go, strong bindings are loosened at the heart level, and powerful energies are released. We break through to the level of energy, the subtle realm, which produces inner vision. We perceive true values and light. As more energy begins to pour into our consciousness, a central fugal force becomes established within, which repels the invasion of unwanted sanskaras and old habit patterns and precipitates our consciousness into the realm of energy. We sustain a higher voltage, a higher vibration and velocity of consciousness, and we experience buoyancy and some degree of inner freedom. This is meant to be permanent, and it will gradually happen after we uproot the habitual paradigm. We also experience an awareness of the need for controlled progress. In other words, the need to place ourselves under the guidance of the Master, who can take us safely past the pitfalls of the higher realms. So keep the spiritual flow going, like running water through the pipes in winter, so they do not freeze. Put the external on automatic. Let it take care of itself. Inwardly, we must not relax on our oars and start drifting. To stand still is to go back. There is no resting point. Mayor Baba says, without consciously knowing it, the aspirant is gradually arriving at self knowledge by traveling the inner path through his joys and sorrows, his happiness and suffering, his successes and failures, his efforts and rest, and through his moments of clear perception and harmonized will, as well as the moments of confusion and conflict. So even if we do not think we are making any progress in the midst of experiencing all these opposites, something is happening. We are moving forward.
Beautiful. You know, one thing to say about that is people that, you know, you kind of, and Baba says in this that you have all these, you know how you're responding to all the situations in your life, but Baba says we don't know how, the inward movement of our life, how we're moving spiritually. We're seeing our responses to the worldly situations. But like some people, they'll go to India and they discover how receptive they are at, you know, how they've grown inwardly, because they haven't been tracking their inner development because it's kind of beyond our awareness, so to speak. And some of the people have the most powerful experiences now, thinking that, you know, the mandali aren't there anymore. How could it be as great as that? But people discover how all the work that Bob has been doing within, you know, or you come to the center, and boy, you realize how much more receptive you are than than you used to be. It's a fact.
That paragraph is really potent, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, and yeah, like I say, you may not think you're really going anywhere, but you come to the center and you can find out. You can experience the work that Baba has been doing. Or, hey, so
Yeah.
anything to say about that?
It had that other Dylan reference in it about if you're standing still, you're not going forward or something.
Yeah.
You know, he not, what is it going forward is Jimmy Carter quoted it in his inauguration speech. He not stand if you're not, I forgot, if you're not going forward, you're going backward or something like that. It's a
Well,
famous
if you let
quote.
up on the oars, then the
Yeah.
current of the river will take you uh, over into the shoals. Say.
It's like a bicycle, you know, you have to keep on going for, or a bicycle or a shark. It has to keep going forward to, I don't know,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Anyone have anything to say about that? Christina, anything to say there?
Holly has her hand up.
Oh,
No,
good.
I thought the the visuals in that paragraph are just so potent, especially when he talks about the centrifugal force, like repelling everything, you know, repelling Maya and sanskaras. It just sounds so cool, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like our initial surge with Baba kind of kept a lot of things at bay. You know, that great enthusiasm.
Mm.
Then once it starts to flag a little bit, and then you you start to stumble over things, and yeah,
Yes, Holly.
yeah,
Yeah, I like what I resonate with what you just said, Christina. The imagery of this, what was just read, and it it really, what's the word? Not hopeful, but it's such an invitation to be alive in the sense that like nothing's left out. Our joys, our sorrows, the entire divine drama that we cannot escape, right? And we read earlier about the witness. And so if we can be reminded, it's like being in the eye of the hurricane in a way, right? When you're sitting, you're still in life. It just saying for Darwin to remind us, like without knowing it, we're gradually traversing an inner path. And because there's sometimes when my thoughts go and take me astray, like, oh, you know better, and how can you, and why aren't you feeling more positive? And like there's the commentary on the life rather than stepping back. When I step back and I realize just this entire drama that Baba created, I'm a player in it. I literally laugh out loud in my day. It happened to me twice today. I got super identified with something that happened at work, and then I went into that thought, tornado that, oh, why did this happen to me? And I'm on the spiritual, like, come on, Baba, give me a break. Like, I'm on this, I'm doing the best I can. And why is this happening to me? And I was really identified with that. And then when I just kind of pulled back a moment and felt that sense of being witness of the divine play, it just brought so much joy. Um, it didn't negate, all the hurdles I had to walk through to deal with some bureaucracy and all that. It didn't, I felt that, I felt the frustration of it, but also the beauty of being reminded that we're not going to escape, the joys, the sorrows, the suffering. It's life.
Yeah, beautifully said. That Erich and Manali Hall once said, the purpose of creation is to remind you to remember him. The good and bad, whatever, it can all be turned into remind you to remember him. If I stumble and bump into a tree or something like that, I suddenly have to remember Baba, when I'm gardening, say.
Deborah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Holly. It's interesting that Darwin, I think Jeff said that Baba lovers have a tendency to be very self-critical. And being a member of that club, I wonder if there's a way to move from self-loathing and being critical of yourself to self-effacement. If there is a way to do that. I don't know why we're hard on ourselves, or maybe not all of us are. And I can't speak for everyone, but is there a step or something that I'm missing?
Great question. Put that out to the all these veterans out there. Aha.
We didn't make who we are, so even if we think we're great, somebody put us in a position where we could be great, and it's not really our doing.
That's one way of getting out of it, not taking, yeah.
Bob?
But yeah. Anyone else to respond to what
Bob is
Deborah
up
said?
there, Josh is up there, Christina, and then Candy. There's 4 people.
Yeah.
Bob?
No, I had a different point, so I'll pass for now.
Yeah.
Okay, Josh?
My guess is, like, if you're like me and you've got the inferiority complex where I'm really hard on myself, I'm like, oh, I'm so much worse than other people. And I think Barbara talks about how it's actually pride in disguise, in that if I look at myself, I notice I'm always hard on myself, but I'm not judging a random person over in Czechoslovakia, in the same way that I'm judging myself. There's still this self-judgment. And my way of doing it is that I just provisional ego, which is saying whatever's occurring, it's, Baba doing this, Baba doing that. And then so even if it's so that then if I'm blaming, then I'm like, oh, it's Baba to blame. And so all praise and blame I shoot at Baba. That's my current methodology. But yeah.
Yeah, good.
Lay it on Baba.
Yeah. Christina.
Yeah. Oh, I think, Deborah, that's a really great question on the difference between the two. And I think of being self-critical as, there's a lot of negativity and judgment and blame and guilt when I'm being self-critical. But when I don't know, I think when we're being self-effacing, the negative charge, that negative emotion goes away, and it's just sort of like an honest assessment of maybe your own intentions. And I don't know, it's an honest assessment of yourself without the negativity. I don't know, does that help?
Yeah.
Like
And there's
without the negative emotional charge, which I think, I think of like someone's being criticized, they're going to recoil from it, right? And they're not going to want to look at it, and it's going to create feelings of guilt and shame. But with self-effacement, I feel like, it's actually like an opening up. It's like, okay, I made this mistake, and, this is why the mistake was made. And I can forgive myself, and I can just try not to do it again. Do you know what I mean? It's a different feeling. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. And one of the things, there's a secret idealism that's beyond what we're capable of. So we condemn ourselves. I didn't reach that ideal, but we're actually not, it's the ideal that we've bought into is not what we're capable of doing. So we beat ourselves up. I should be truly honest, and then I find that I'm in a situation I'm not entirely honest. But that perfect honesty is beyond my capabilities. So I have to just take the baby steps towards some of the ideal. But a lot of people, they beat themselves up because they're expecting impossible things of themselves for where they are in the present. I don't know if that's where I see that a lot.
That's beautiful.
And they're hidden. They're hidden. You bought into some value system that's beyond your actual reach, and you don't even see it because you bought into it, back in your teenage years or something like that. Yeah. Okay.
So we had
more. I don't know if
Candy.
it's it's Candy and Rich, and then we're done.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Candy.
Yeah, I just want to say that I know very well the beating yourself up thing, and Baba says not to do that. And he says to give it to him and then forget about it, because what I've seen is that beating yourself up and dwelling on the things that you do wrong is another trap. It's an ego trap. It's the same it's the same thing as if you think about how nice and how wonderful you are. It's exactly the same, just in the bad mood. So you need to let go of that. I used to do it myself. Now I just give it to Baba. I like Christina was saying, yes, you notice it, you are aware of it, and then give it, and don't. And Baba even said, you deepen the sanskara if you keep thinking about it. So don't do it. So immediately, be aware of it and then give it up, give it to Baba and say, okay, I'll try better next time. And that's it. So
Yeah. Rich Sanders, he used to pull his hair out for, falling short of his ideals. And look what happened to him.
And it worked. Look at this. Hey, I'll make it short, but Jeff, you were really on to what my thought is, and I believe this 100%, but Baba, for each and every one of us, uh, nurtures a much greater sense and purpose. I think you might say spiritually, like the Beatitudes or whatever you call them, but for each one of us to express in our lives. But I know for me, it just takes so much time for this to come to pass. That's it. Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Did you want a quick poem, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could I just say about what we were saying before?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just really quickly, Bao once said to me, once you feel sorry, you're forgiven.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Once
That's
you
right.
feel remorse, I once asked Erich, how he experienced Baba's forgiveness, and he said, when you do something unkind and selfish, you make your appeal to God and you petition Him until you feel relieved. But with Baba, when you do something unkind and selfish, the remorse you feel for having done that is the sign that you've already been forgiven.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
Virginia, you're on.
All right. This one came up when I was at the center last week. Baba, what makes you laugh? When I put you in places where you can't move except to me. When children dance and play and are in my arms. When dear ones come together and love me. The sunlight on the water, the fish nets, and escaping the nets. How you think that you have a say in what I do through you. And most of all, how it feels when I remember myself in you, in them, in all. I was hiding from myself, and the best joke is when I catch me.
Beautiful. You got
Very
one, do one more. No, read that one again. Read that one again.
Okay. Baba, what makes you laugh? When I put you in places where you can't move except to me. When children dance and play and are in my arms. When dear ones come together and love me. The sunlight on the water, the fish nets, and escaping the nets. How you think that you have a say in what I do through you. And most of all, how it feels when I remember myself in you, in them, in all. I was hiding from myself, and the best joke is when I catch me.
Beautiful.
good.
Let's have a few moments of silence, and then I see Nasreen there, and she can finish us off. Okay, let's have a few moments of silence. Hey, Baba. Yeah. Any last minute remarks, or shall we have Nasreen bid us farewell? Okay, Nasreen.
Okay, my dear. Avatar Meher
Baba
Baba
ki
Ki
jai.
Jai. Avatar
Meher
Meher Baba
Baba
Ki
ki
Jai.
jai.
Avatar
Meher
Meher
Baba
Baba
ki
Ki
jai.
Jai. Jai Baba, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Jess.
Yeah. We're coming up to Amrtithi on Saturday.
Yes.
So I'm sure in different places it's being honored and celebrated. We do it at the center in a fireplace,
Oh,
and it's going to be
nice.
22 degrees at night. So,
Oh, no.
and there are no
Wow.
heaters in the barn, but we'll get a roaring fire, hopefully. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see you next Monday. And
Yes. Yes.
Diane. Yeah.
No,
Oh,
she's
oh,
saying
oh.
Have you had
goodbye.
a lot of
Oh.
pipes freeze? Had a lot of pipes freeze, Jeff?
Was that?
Had any pipes freeze there at the
Hi,
center?
Mahmoud.
Well, tonight is the real the next 7 days. It'll be in the 20s at night.
Oh,
Oh, look
wow.
at
That's
that's Mahmoud right there.
Yeah.
He Yeah, I think he's 94. Is it 94?
And
Look at. If I look like that at 94, I mean, I already look like that.
Oh, no, don't say that. You look 60. You
Yeah.
look 60.
Yeah.
16.
There's
Get on up
Anita.
today,
She's from
already.
Mumbai. Anita's, they're from
Yeah.
Mumbai.
He's
Jim
still
Frasino.
handsome. Still handsome.
Jim Frasino from Australia. Let's see, anybody? Sabine, of course, and Johannes. They're from Germany. Mary in Central Park West. Let's see. And Josh is there. Josh, are you in? You're around Avatar's abode, but kind of up in the mountains a little bit.
No. So well, I'm near Mayor House, which is the other barber center,
Oh, okay.
about an
Yeah.
hour's drive away.
Yeah.
But I am every night, up in the mountains a bit. But no, but that's on the weekends, and in the day I'm often in the city, sort of an hour's drive away. But we're in Australia, we're actually getting a heat wave this week. So it's almost like the
Oh,
cold that you folks have got, we've gotten the heat, and so I don't know. So we've got whatever's happening is happening. But yeah,
We'll
do a heat.
And the
we'll
shark
trade
wave.
you 10 degrees of cold for 10 degrees of warmth.
I would love that. I
Would
would
love
love
for
to.
that. Anyway, great to see all of you, and thank you for all that you share.
thank you,
I
Jeff.
think it's helpful. Yeah.
Bye.
Beautiful.
Jai Baba.
Thank you.
Thank
Avatar,
you. Thank you,
Jai
everyone.
Baba.
Baba.
Jai.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.